You shall call the Sabbath a delight. These lights we kindle are a symbol of joy. May their brightness lift our spirits and fill our hearts with happiness and peace.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You sanctify us by your commandments and enjoin us to kindle the Sabbath lights.
Shalom Aleichem,
you may be seated.
Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem LaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei HaMlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem LaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei HaMlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat Shalom, and how wonderful it is to be able to welcome you all on this Shabbat evening, either here in Northwood or wherever you're joining us from freezing cold Finchley or Dublin or Wicklow or anywhere else around the world, that you are joining us for this Shabbat. I'm sorry if I will miss all the cues of standing and sitting, because that's normally Rabbi Aaron's job. So I got used to not having to worry about that. So I hope I will invite you to sit and stand at the right moments. Otherwise, just do what you like and enjoy yourself, enjoy the music. It's wonderful to have Ruth and Joe with us to join in the singing. And we are in service number 5, so on page 77, we read from Psalm 97. The Eternal One reigns, let the earth rejoice. Let the many isles be glad. Clouds and darkness surround you. Righteousness and justice are the foundation of your throne. Your lightnings illumine the world. The earth sees and trembles. Mountains melt like wax before you, O God, before the ruler of all the earth. The heavens proclaim your righteousness, and all the peoples behold your glory. Zion hears and is glad. The daughters of Judah rejoice in your judgments, for you are supreme over all the earth. You are exalted far above all other gods. Light dawns for the righteous, and joy for the upright in heart. Let the righteous rejoice in you, and give thanks to your holy name.
Yedid nefesh avarachaman meshochatecha eretzonecha yarutz avdecha kamo hayam yishtachaveh el mohadarecha ye'erav lo yedidotecha Mino ve'etzov ve'chol ta'am Higalena ufros chavivi alai etzokar shalomcha Ta'i eretz mikvodecha Nagila v'nismacha
You to turn to page 91 for Lecha Dodi. Just before I invite you to rise and to rise for the Baruch Hu, just a short moment for us to take a moment to reflect on our Torah portion. To reflect on this Torah portion at this point in the service, not because it's not our normal sermon slot, but it seems very fitting to reflect on our Torah portion just here, just at the cusp of our Ma'ariv service, as we start to transition from Kabbalat Shabbat into the main service. For this week's Torah portion is all about setting us up for the service, setting us up for divine service to God, thinking about establishing a sanctuary. We started this in last week's Torah portion. In this week's Torah portion, Tetzaveh continues the instructions for building a sanctuary. And what is it that is required for building a sanctuary? Well, if you look at the Hebrew text, what is really required for building a sanctuary is your heart. You have to bring your heart to it. And there's two ways in which we have to bring our heart to building a sanctuary, to building a tabernacle, to building the Mishkan. The first thing is the Nediv Lev, the offerings of the heart. And we're already invited in last week's Torah portion to reflect on what these offerings might be. Will it be gold? Will it be silver? Will it be copper? Will it be precious stones or colorful yarns? Whatever you bring it with an open heart. And the other way in which we need our heart to built to establish our sanctuary is that we need to be chacham lev, wise of heart. Well, it's a really strange term when it's used in a Torah portion. What does it mean, being wise of heart? It's to be an artisan. It's to be an artist. It is to be skillful at not just giving, but putting things together. And so it's really our hearts that make the sanctuaries. It's not the items that make the sanctuaries, but it's the hearts that make the sanctuaries. And so I thought for this week's service, to go with this week's Torah portion, Tetzaveh, I would share this reading by Alden Soloway. It's entitled, Unlock Your Heart, to invite you to unlock your hearts to help us all build a sanctuary. Come, unlock your heart. Open the gates so your soul may enter. Splendor, radiance, awe. Let the spark of holiness and the gift of humanity meet in the core of your being. Wisdom, glory, truth. Let the echo of the ages and the yearning for tomorrow sing a duet of eternity. Mystery, majesty, wonder. Then, dear sisters and brothers, your hands will become a fountain of blessings, and your eyes will become wells of love. Your words will resonate with Torah, and your deeds will glorify God's holy name. So I invite you to stand. The Baruch Hu is on page 92. Praised be the one to whom our praise is due. We praise the Eternal One, to whom our praise is due forever. Please be seated. And we continue together in English on page 93. We praise you, Eternal One, our God, sovereign of the universe, whose word brings on the evening, whose wisdom opens heaven's gates, whose understanding changes times and seasons, and whose will sets the stars in their courses in the sky. You make day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light. You make day pass and bring on the night, and separate day from night. You rule the hosts of heaven. We praise you, O God, whose word makes evening fall.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavata, Amcha ahavata. Torah u'mitzvot קבעת אל תעשו, ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Please rise. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Shem Kavod, Shem Kavod, Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לעוד על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לעולכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Please be seated. All this we hold to be true and sure. You alone, Eternal One, are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You have freed us from oppressors and delivered us from tyrants. You led us out of Egypt forever to serve you in freedom. When we witnessed your power, we praised your name and gave thanks. Willingly we accepted your rule. Then full of joy, we sang together.
ומי כמוך באלים אדוני, ומי כמוך באלים בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים.
and let us rise up to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your wise counsel, and for your name's sake, be our help. Shield us from sickness and war, from famine and distress, and keep us from wrongdoing. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you are our guardian and deliverer, a gracious and merciful God. Guard our going out and our coming in, that now and always we may have life and peace.
Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleichem ve'al kol yoshvei tevel.
Please rise.
Adonai sefatai tivta ufia ite ilatecha. Adonai sefatai tivta ufia ite ilatecha. Eternal God, open up my lips, that my mouth shall declare your praise. Eternal God, open up my lips, that my mouth shall declare your praise.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham v'Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש ומוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. קדוש אתה ונורא שמך, ואין לנו אלוה מבלעדיך, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. You may be seated.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל
continue together in English on page 100. Our God and God of our ancestors, may our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts that we may serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Eternal One, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts, and may all Israel who hallow your name be exalted by its peace. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Sabbath. רצה אדוני אלוהינו בעמך ישראל, ותפילתם באהבה תקבל, ותהי לרצון תמיד עבודת ישראל עמך. ברוך אתה אדוני, שאותך לבדך ביראה נעבוד. מודים אנחנו לך, שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו לעולם ועד. צור חיינו ומגן אישנו, אתה הוא לדור ודור. נודה לך ונספר תהילתך על חיינו המסורים בידיך, ועל נשמותינו הפקודות לך, ועל ניסיך שבכל יום עמנו, ועל נפלותיך וטובותיך שבכל עת, ערב ובוקר וצהריים. ברוך אתה אדוני, הטוב שמך, ולך נאה להודות.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov b'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Baruch atah Adonai, oseh hashalom. We'll take some time for silent prayer. May the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable to you, O God, our rock and our Redeemer.
Yehol haratzon imrefi v'hegion libi lefanecha. Adonai tzori, Adonai
may the Most High source of perfect peace grant peace to us, to all Israel, and to all the world. I invite you now to stand as we turn to our concluding prayers on page 520. Please turn to page 520. When you've found your page, please rise. Aleinu leshabach ladon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, אשר שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו עינות, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו. וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. And at the bottom of the next page, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. There are stars whose radiance is visible on earth, though they have long been extinct. There are people whose brilliance continues to light the world, though they are no longer among the living. These lights are particularly bright when the night is dark. They light the way for humanity. And on this Shabbat, we think of all those whose yahrzeit falls at this time. Daniela Kleins is remembering the yahrzeit of her cousin Esty, and if somebody from the tech team could scroll so that I can see Rowan's yahrzeit. Sorry, this it's disappeared already, the chat. So Rowan Ellis is remembering the 10th anniversary of the death of her grandparents, Stephen Miller and Patsy Lou Nelson. And in this congregation also we remember Donald Crash, the husband of Valerie, Donna Himes, a friend of all of us, Isabel Wood, the mother of Jane Goh, and Jane is also remembering her brother, Conrad Anderson. Lily Wood, the mother of Angela Freed. Lionel Seymour, the father of Anthony and Tessa Essex, father-in-law of Linda. Marjorie Kettle, the mother of John. Muriel Sherman, the mother of Murray. Ray Crabb, the mother of Michael. Sadie Speyer, the grandmother of Richard Colin. Stella Peck, the mother of Nick. Zichronam Livracha, may their memory be a source of blessing to all of us as we recite together the words of Kaddish on page 524. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביום אחון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה ברכו, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran balma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol b'nei adam, v'imru, amen. May great peace descend from heaven, and abundant life be granted to us, to all Israel, and to all those who mourn. And let us say, amen. Please be seated. In just a short moment, we will be concluding with Yom Zeh Yisrael, which you can find on page 644. So to those of you having to find your page number, it's on page 644. Just a couple of announcements. It is half term, so it's a little bit quieter in the shul always. No noise of kids tomorrow morning in Cheder. But our wonderful adult learning program, or really our celebration of the 120th anniversary of liberal Judaism, continues this Wednesday with a very, very special session. Rabbi Aaron Goldstein, if you missed last week, Rabbi Andrew Goldstein, fascinating talk on Amy K. Blank. You can still catch up on it on our YouTube channel, where you might be watching anyway. So you can just go straight from the service to that one. But coming up this Wednesday at 7:30, Rabbi Aaron Goldstein in conversation with Ruth Shire, a wonderful member of the Birmingham Progressive Synagogue. She's been, I'm not going to give away her age, but she's been around for a lot of the 120 years through liberal Judaism's history. And we'll be sharing a few highlights from her own story, and we'll be inviting others who are there and will have been around as well to share a little bit their memories of liberal Judaism. If you haven't yet got a copy of this wonderful book, Liberal Judaism, the First 100 Years, so we're going to need to do the next 20 edition already, but this was a special edition book by Lawrence Riegel and Rosita Rosenberg, specially put together for the 100th anniversary of Liberal Judaism, and you can pick up a copy for free outside the sanctuary. So if you haven't got one yet, make sure to pick up a copy. And for now, we're going to conclude with Yom Zeh Yisrael, and then we're going to invite people to join us also already in the Kiddush Zoom room. But on page 644, please join in the singing.
Yom Zeh Yisrael, ora v'simcha, ora v'simcha, Shabbat menucha. Yom Zeh Yisrael, ora v'simcha, Shabbat, Shabbat menucha, menucha, Shabbat, Shabbat menucha. Tzivita pekudim b'ma'at Sinai, Shabbat u'moadim lishmo b'chol shanai, la'arok lefanai ma'aseh barucha, Shabbat, Shabbat menucha, menucha, Shabbat, Shabbat menucha. Yom Zeh Yisrael, ora v'simcha, ora v'simcha, Shabbat menucha. ששת גלית המלאכת עולמים, פה מצאו הגומים השקט וביתך, שבת, שבת מנוחה, מנוחה, שבת, שבת מנוחה, יום זה ישראל אורה ושמחה, אורה ושמחה, שבת מנוחה, יום זה ישראל אורה ושמחה, שבת, שבת מנוחה, מנוחה, שבת, שבת מנוחה.
So I just invite you to stand once more for a final blessing. As we enter Shabbat with an open heart, as we've opened the gates to our souls, let the spark of holiness and the gift of humanity meet in the very core of our being. Amen and Shabbat Shalom. And we are going to turn to our Kiddush. Please do, if you have wine at home and bread at home, please do get your wine and bread, and I will reach just below the bimah and hopefully find my challah, absolutely, so that we can get ready to enjoy a little bit Shabbat together. It's lovely to see you all joining us from home. It's lovely, Ellie, to see you, and Howard, of course. What a highlight it was last week. Really an absolute highlight. Celia, Ali, and Cynthia, I think, is joining us as well. I can't see it from here. It's too small. But let us join together in reciting the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'le'avav ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehillah lemikra kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'chata ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. L'chaim. Wonderful. Oh, I can see it. It was David who joined us. It wasn't Cynthia, who I didn't recognize, but because he was too far from the camera. But let us reach to the challah. I hope you all have some challah at home as well. And as we say together, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Goodbye to the live stream. Hello to everyone on Zoom.